What we're going to do in this video, we are going to connect our carcass together, so all of our legs with our tendons and our dowel joint. The first thing that we need to do, we've created a new design, but you need to save this design to be able to put any components in there. So I'm going to save this design in my folder. So there's industrial technology, bedside table, and just save this as completed bedside table, and we'll save that there. So I've saved it. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to go first with my front right leg and see how I can insert it into my design. So I'm going to insert that in, and there's my job. I'm just going to rotate it around 90 degrees and press enter. What I'm going to do next is, that's my leg there, and I'm going to ground that. So basically with the little pin, that's going to ground my job so it won't move. What I do next is I'm going to bring in my tendon joint, insert into design, rotate it, rotate, enter. And now I'm going to need to use my orbit tool so I can get around, get into the tendon, and rotate in. I'm going to select the back of that joint. I've selected the back, and then I'm going to select the top of my tendon, holding shift so I can hold them both at the same time. So that's blue and that's blue. Now we're going to be using the joint tool, and we just press join, we capture, so continue. Okay, this is a type of joint, we just have it on ridge because we know it's just going to sit in there stationary, and we go enter, and our job has sat in there like so. What we do next is we've got our front left leg there. Now we get our back left leg, insert into drawing, and we repeat the same step. So enter it into drawing, we go enter. I'm going to rotate it around until I can see the tenon or the mortise. So I can see the back of my mortise. I want to select that area, orbit, and I want to hold shift. So I've got both are blue. We join. Well, that's on resolve as well. So ridge, and there we go. What we do next is I'm going to insert my back rail with dowels. I'm going to line it up, so rotate it. Can't really see it too properly, so I'll get my orbit tool. And move it over to my joint to make it a little bit easier. What I need to do here is I need to select one of the dowel tips. So I'll hold shift and select that. And because I've selected the top one, I need to go to the top hole. So I've selected the top one, so I need to go to the top hole on here. Can be a little bit tricky. Now I can see the back. So the back's there. Hold shift, and then I'm going to go join. We'll capture that. Still on revolve for some reason. Ridge. And there we go. So that feature right there, how I'm changing from roll to ridge, basically that's just how it animates the joint, so it's really nothing to worry about. I've done both of my left legs. Now I want to do my back right leg, so I'm going to insert that into my drawing. So we've got it there. I'll enter. So remember, I need to select my dowel hole. So always try and select the back to make it a little bit easier on yourself. So it can be quite hard to find. So there's the back of the hole there. I'm going to zoom out, orbit. Before we touch the next one, remember we're going to hold shift down. We go assemble. And we go enter. Now we've got 3 out of the 4 legs. What we're going to do next is we're going to insert another tenon joint here. So insert into current design. I'm going to rotate that around. It's easy to work with. Enter. And we're going to move it. So what we want to do, remember like we did before, we're going to select the face of our tenon. And we want to select the back of our mortise for it to go into. Remember holding shift before we select our next surface. And go capture. There we go, assemble. Now we do our last one, our front right leg. We'll insert that into our drawing. We've got that there. We're going to have to spin this one around so that you can see, you can put the tenon joint in the right spot. So as you can see, both of our holes need to line up with each other. So the back of our job, back of our mortise, front of our tenon, holding shift when we select both of them. And we go enter. Right, we've got our whole carcass together just like that. Alright, so what we're going to do now, we are going to do the top rail measurements. So the way we mark that out, I'm going to go inspect. I'm going to go from this joint to this joint, and that's 370. Okay, so I'm going to have to do a piece of 370 mils long, and then I'll see how wide it looks. So 42. I'm going to open a new design now, create sketch, choose the bottom plane, 2-point rectangle, so it's going to be 42 wide, 370 long. Okay, it's 19 mils thick, enter. I'm going to go back to my job and I'm going to have a look how long this dovetail joint is. That's 30 millimeters. So it's 42 wide and it's 30 deep. Now I'm going to choose my construction lines. Okay, I'm going to do one at 5 mils, just like I did in my last ones. One at 10 mils. One at 5 mils. One at 10 mils. Now I'm going to choose my line tool again. Do this line all the way out the top. This line all the way out the top. I'm going to turn my construction lines off, and from this line here, I'm going to pull that down. Do the same on the other side. Go finish sketch. So I should have a finished edge on this side, and then a finished square on this side. So I'm going to hold shift so I get both of them. I'm going to extrude these down by 19 mils, to create my half lap dovetail. And do the same to the other edge. So create a sketch again. Use my rectangle, turn my construction lines on, just to make my dovetail. So it's 42 by 30. Enter. My line tool, making sure the construction steps are still on. So one at 5, and one at 10. Do the same to the other side. 5 mils, 10 mils. Just remember, I'm going to extend my line to the edge, just so it's easier to mark out. So my 5 mil line I'll extend to the edge. Turn those construction lines off now. Pull it down. Do the same to the other side. Remember going to the between the 5 and 10 mil lines, and I finish that sketch. As you can see, I can't select this area because it's not a solid line there. So I'm just going to go Control Z, and it takes me back into my sketching. And I just need to finish off this shape. So I finish it off just by pulling that down. If I go finish now, notice how I've got my sketch completed. Minus 19, extrude, and that gives me that. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to save this as half dove, give me half lap dovetail top piece. Make sure it's saved in the bedside table. So I'm going to save that there. Then I'm going to go back to my carcass, waiting for it to save. I'll insert that into my job. Bring that up like that. If I choose this edge and select it with this edge, and I go join, and revolve off on ridge, I go enter. And there we go, that is perfectly joined for our top rail. Now I want to do my bottom rail as well. So to be able to see my bottom rail properly, I'm just going to orbit my job around. So I want to be able to see from here to here, so I just want to measure that. So that's 340 mils long. So I only want, that's 22, and I only want a 19 mil gap there because I want my draw face to sit flush up against. So what I'm going to do is, that's 20 mils, but I'm going to make it 23, and I'll show you what we do. So create a new drawing, 2-point rectangle. So this is going to be 340, just like in the drawing. 340, it's going to be 23 wide, 340, go enter. I'm going to finish my sketch, and I'm going to extrude that up 19 mils. Now this is going to be a stopped housing joint, so I'm just going to take a little edge out of this. And before I figure out how much the edge is, I need to see how deep my job is, my stopped housing joint is. So what I'm going to do is I'll choose my measure tool, and I'll measure those. So that's 15 mils. So what I do, I'm going to get a rectangle, turn on the construction lines, and that's 23 wide, but I want to go 15 mils in to match my joint. And then remember how we took 3 mils off? We added 3 mils. Now I'm going to take 3 mils off this edge, making sure the construction lines are turned off. Finish that sketch there. I'm going to extrude this minus 19. I'm going to take that joint off, that material off. Do the same to the other side. So create sketch, 2-point rectangle. Remember, it's a bit easier if you do one with construction steps beforehand. 23 by 15. I've turned the solid lines back on, so I turn the construction steps off. I'm going to extrude this out, -19, enter. Okay, and then I'm going to save this as stopped housing joint bottom rail. Save. I'll go back to my job, and once this is finished saving, I'm going to go insert into current design. So I've inserted it in there. I'm going to rotate it so the bits that I cut out are facing outwards from my job to make it a bit easier. If I select this surface, I'm going to orbit around. Just press exit so we get off orbit. Hold shift and select this surface, and we go join. Turn ridge back on. And we go enter. And if I turn this around, we have a look, and that fits perfect.